Hey guys, I'm the Cheese Man and I'll be your delivery driver today. Today I want to talk about something that someone's asked me about before, not necessarily on the channel, but in real life. Um, is delivering pizza the same or similar to or anything like waiting tables? Somewhat, yes. But for the most part, no. Like in the big picture, not really. Are you bringing food to a customer? Yes. But in one situation, you're in the same building, going from one part of the building to the other part to bring food from the kitchen to the customer. In the other situation, you're using your own personal vehicle, putting miles on that vehicle, burning up gas in that vehicle, wear and tear on your personal vehicle to bring the food from where it starts to the customer. And sometimes that can be a short distance, sometimes it's a long distance, but it's still wear and tear. Um, yeah, you depend on the generosity of strangers to earn a living, tips. But again, and like I said, that's one of the things that are the same. You're hoping to earn tips to make a living. But and not to downplay waiting tables at all. Not even a little bit. But it's so very different in so many ways. Like, waiting tables, you drive to work, you do your job, then you drive home. Delivering pizzas, you drive to work, you drive to delivery A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way around until you've been sent home or your time's up or whatever, depending on the store you work at. You maintain your vehicle a heck of a lot delivering pizzas. Like, if you go by the old school rule of thumb for maintaining your vehicle, which is usually, what is it, 3 months or 3,000 miles or something, is how often you're supposed to change your oil. Well, delivering pizzas, you probably change your oil every month or 1,000 miles, and any other job to include waiting tables, that isn't usually the issue. Unless, again, you're using a personal vehicle to do your job. um, you got to get the brakes changed, twice as often. Looks like my cat wants to be in the video. I guess that's my ride along today. you know, just everything that you normally would have a lot more time in between. It's like 2/3 sooner, like a month instead of 3 months, or whatever. But it's similar in certain ways to waiting tables, but it's so very different in more ways. Like, as a delivery driver, you answer calls. In some places, like the place I work at, you fold boxes, you get the front counter or the oven. You learn to do pretty much everything in the store that an inside person would do and you deliver pizzas, you know. So you do what a person who waits table does, in and out, in and out. And your AC doesn't always work. Not everybody's vehicle has AC that works, and that's not a fun experience. I've done it, didn't enjoy it. Um, you know, but there's, the more positive side. If you're waiting tables, you can't smoke a cigarette on the way to the customer's table in most places. While I'm delivering pizzas, I can smoke a cigarette on the way there, smoke one on the way back, or split one between back and forth. However, as long as I'm not like blowing smoke out as I arrive at the door. But, so there is that, you know. Whereas waiting tables, you have to have an opportunity, a slow moment where you can go outside and smoke a cigarette. So it's just, I guess it's one of those things you kind of have to experience to really understand, like the littler differences. Waiting tables. Like I said before, you're going from the kitchen to a table in the same building, or even outside the building, one of those where you can eat outside or whatever. Well, there's not as much worry of the food getting cold between picking it up and bringing it to the customer. Whereas with pizza delivery, even with a hot bag, you have to hope that the food doesn't get cold. You also have to hope that, some asshole doesn't cut out in front of you, causing you to slam on your brakes, and all of a sudden you got pizza flying in the hot bag or in the box or whatever, however you're toting it. And then you got, now you got to go back to the store and get a remake. You've got a late delivery, And I'm sure there's similar hazards waiting tables, but it's a little easier to stop as a person than to stop a vehicle. So again, never gonna downplay waiting tables, just stating my observations. I've not waited tables, but I've known plenty of people who have, and I've been at the restaurant hanging out while they've waited tables. And it's just, it's just different. So like, you have to worry about the food getting cold, or if you've got a lot of it, it's always fun because then you put more wear and tear on your vehicle, but it's also the steam from the hot bags and the boxes and however else you're toting it covers your windshields and your windows, so it makes it pretty hard to commute. So there's just and when you're in the building, you're a little more safe. Waiting tables, you're a little bit more safe. And I say that only because with deliveries, you never know where you're going to be. You might be out in the ghetto, you might be in a safe neighborhood or whatever. Actually, a coworker of mine from a couple of years ago was going to a pretty safe neighborhood and got robbed. Restaurants get robbed, especially overnight, like 24-hour diner type places. But there's cameras, there's a central location, so when you have to call the cops, hey, I'm at this diner, whatever the name of it is. When you get robbed on a pizza delivery, they can take your phone, which is your only means of contacting anybody. They take your car, take all your money, just what have you. Then what? They could beat you senseless, lock you in your trunk, whatever. So that's it for that. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have, hit that like button, wherever it's at, I don't know. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see y'all some other time. Just don't forget, always tip your delivery driver.